everybody! My name is Michelle the Bookworm, and in this week's video I'm going to be talking about a book that I read for the Goodreads March readathon. This month the book for the readathon was Made You Up by Francesca Zappia. This was a really, I really liked this book. This book covers a story about a 17-year-old girl named Alexandra who has schizophrenia. For those of you who may know, I've recently read Girl Interrupted, which, spoiler alert, is about another girl who has schizophrenia. And this book was really interested me because this is a whole new example. This is a completely different take on somebody who has schizophrenia, and kind of more of an inside look as to the daily life of somebody who has schizophrenia. It was a very fast and easy read. It was not, I feel like I would definitely read something like this in high school. I would totally have been up for a book like this. So first I'd like to talk about what I liked about the book, and then I will talk about what I didn't really like about the book, and then I will talk about my overall rating. So what I liked about this book is the emphasis with, it really focused on Alex's mental illness. Alex has schizophrenia. She has a problem differentiating what's real and what's not real in her life. It kind of brings to light that not everybody who has schizophrenia is a psycho murderer. This girl is just a 17-year-old girl trying to get through high school and trying to figure out if the Nazis on top of her school are real or fake. So she has triggers on a daily basis. She sees things that she knows aren't there, and she's kind of formulated a way to test whether her visions or these hallucinations are real or are they in her head. So I feel like this humanizes the mental illness significantly. A lot of people think of schizophrenia as somebody who's has two different personalities, and one personality wants to kill you. That's definitely not what this is here. This is with Alex, she takes pictures of everything that she comes across. If something seems suspicious, then she goes ahead and takes a picture of it and puts it in her scrapbook. Her way of figuring out if they're real or not is if they're still in the pictures. Then she know if the thing that she took a picture of, for instance squirrels, if they aren't real, then they won't appear in the picture. If they are real, then they'll still appear in the pictures. Another stigma against people with mental illness, particularly with schizophrenia, is that they are isolated, which is definitely not true in this case. And it's definitely true because she did transfer recently to her new school, but she does pretty quickly make friends. It's not like she's a loner who's trying to isolate herself. She just kind of feels isolated because of her mental illness. And this counters the stigma that, mental illness is for loners. It's really not. She had, quite a bit of support. She had meaningful relationships. She has a best friend named Tucker, who, even though he doesn't know about her mental illness, he's still constantly looking out for her. She still talks to him. She was very comfortable with him. And she does try to reach out, even though it's difficult for her. And she also ends up having a relationship with this boy named Miles. In the beginning, they're definitely enemies. and I feel like her relationship is healthy, but it's not, relationship with her is healthy, but not controlling. And they encourage one another. Miles, also has a mental illness. He's not able to understand emotions as easily as other people, so he's constantly writing down his observations in these notebooks, and that's his own way of coping with and working with his own mental illness. Miles and her also have this really cute 20 questions game that they play where they think of a famous person in the past, present, and they have 20 questions to guess whoever it is. And so they are unrealistically good at this game because her parents are archaeologists and he's just a whiz kid with history. So they have this little game going on where they can both basically guess the person within 3 tries. But they give each other a run for their money. So that's kind of a cute little romantic game that they play. It reminds me of their relationship in the beginning kind of reminds me of the stigomythia within Shakespeare's plays. Like when there are two people of equal intelligence but opposing stances. In Shakespeare, that's reflected as just like being equally able to verbally combat each other, and I feel like that's what this 20 questions kind of does. It gives them equal standing intellectually. Another thing that I actually did like about this book, and spoilers to whoever is wanting to read this book, the fact that the plot twist, the fact that her sister ended up not being, her throughout the novel, she's constantly talking about her little sister Charlie, and as it turns out, Charlie died of asphyxiation when she was 4. I did not see that coming at all. Charlie pops up throughout this novel quite frequently in really key moments, and I thought that they had this, big sister, little sister moments quite frequently where Alex would just take Charlie into her lap whenever Alex felt really sad, and Charlie would come up and, knock on her door and bug her like a kid sister. But I did not see Charlie not being real as that kind of blindsided me. Looking back, flipping through the book, I can definitely see where there were some hints dropped, but while I was reading it, completely blindsided. She has a personality, and so what I found really interesting about Charlie is that Alex gave her a personality. Charlie plays the violin, and she even has a specific theme song, which is the 1812 Overture. So Charlie's song is the 1812 Overture, which I found really interesting that the delusions would be that complex. But what I did like, and what I mentioned earlier, is that there are plot twists, but there's also hints throughout the novel leading up to these plot twists. For instance, and there's nothing I hate more in a novel when just randomly, oh yeah, there's a plot twist. Oh, it was this person the entire time. Oh, this person secretly had a grudge. Oh, this person is secretly crazy. No, this book had frequent hints that you knew while reading it was kind of a hint, but you didn't really pick up on it until it was all tied together in the end, which I feel like that's exactly what a book should be doing. Any type of mystery novel should be giving you clues to kind of help you lead you along, and then wrap it up in a way that either confirms those clues or completely, takes them in a different direction. So the clues that I got about Charlie in particular, because I kind of fixated on her a little bit, Charlie only talked when around Alex's family. Charlie didn't, she only appeared when it was just her family and there was no one else there. So I'm thinking that it was kind of a comfort thing for Alex, and Charlie didn't appear in front of anybody else until the very end when, lo and behold, she's doing something stressful. Another thing that kind of was breadcrumbs towards another bigger problem for another major twist is that the principal of this school has been sexually abusing Celia, who is the pretty popular technically villain of the story. She and Alex don't get along, and Alex tries to figure out what's going on, and the more Alex tries to figure out, the more Celia pushes back. But that was another huge twist, is that this big bitch of the school ends up actually being a survivor. And there's a logistical reason why she's kind of being a bitch. So those were some of the twists that I did like. There was a lot to be desired in this novel. So I would now like to talk about what I didn't quite like about this book. For instance, I read the inside flap, and it kind of led me to believe that Miles was a figment of her imagination. And it's kind of what the back cover said as well. So all indications gave me that Miles, one of the major conflicts of the story was that Miles is or isn't real. And that's kind of what I went into this book expecting, and it didn't fulfill that. We know automatically right off the bat that Miles is real because there are people interacting with him the entire time. He has an entire club sorry, I'm just going to get my tea. So Miles has an entire club that he is the leader of and the principal interacts with. So I feel like the inside cover was really misleading, and it made it more. This book was already good on its own. It kind of made it juicier than it was, and it already has a pretty decent hook. Another thing that I didn't necessarily like about this novel is that it was one of those novels where there was just too many conflicts. There's the fact that Alex is schizophrenic, and on top of that, she has overprotective parents. There's also the problem with Miles. His dad is obviously controlling and abusive. There's the conspiracy against Miles to get him kicked out. There's the fact that Miles is a gun for hire, which basically in this school, instead of getting back at somebody, basically they paid Miles, and Miles formulated a payback plan, like putting icy hot in somebody's underwear, things like that. So he was the one who got his hands dirty and frequently the one who got in trouble. And another twist is that Miles is doing all this work so that he can get his own mom out of a mental institution. So the fact that his mom is in a mental institution is another huge, giant twist. So that was my biggest issue with it. Overall, I gave this book a 3 out of 5, which means that it was a pretty solid read. It went by really quickly. It's a pretty thick book, and I read this in a matter of, like, a couple of days. I didn't even, like, really binge read it. I read it in, like, 4 days. And it was really quick. It was a page turner. I couldn't put it down. So these plot twists did keep the book flowing very quickly, but I felt like I was, going down some rapids, kind of getting bounced around a lot. So there were too many plot twists to keep up with, and so in general, I would recommend this book to other people. I feel like it was a very fun read. I wouldn't necessarily read it again. I did skim through it while I was thinking about reviewing what I wanted to say when I was reviewing this. So I read it once and then skimmed through it again. But in general, it was pretty good. I would recommend this. I really would. Maybe not now that I've told you all the major plot twists, but you never know. You could pick something else new from it. So this concludes my review of Made You Up by Francesca Zappia. My end of video question is, do you feel, if you read this book, do you feel like this is an adequate representation of a schizophrenic's lifestyle? And again, I think another thing that I want to emphasize is just the predominant stigma against people who have mental illness, and just continue to think about that while you're reading all these books about it, because it's something that's definitely happens. I mean, you probably know somebody who has a mental illness, and it's not all axe murderers. It's probably just a girl who's trying to get through high school. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next review. Bye!